Hello, Howard Times viewer. Judy Shields here. Today we're so excited to welcome on the show a speech therapist here, Christina Hunger. Hi, Christina. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, we're excited to have you. And you're wondering, why do we have a speech therapist? Why not? I mean, we love to have all kinds of folks on our show, and we got a little bit of a back end of a dog, and that's sort of why we're here to talk about her beautiful dog, Stella, and this wonderful documentary that's coming on
February 4th.
February 4th, Can Dogs Talk? Can Dogs Talk? What a great title. So, Christina, why do you think they named this movie that?
It's a really intriguing concept, and it's something that, we've all wondered and humans have wondered about for decades and decades. What is my dog thinking, and what would happen if dogs could talk, and can dogs talk? And so we're here to explore, can dogs talk not through verbal speech, but with communication devices like buttons that say words to communicate much more than they're able to just with their gestures and body language alone.
I have to say, folks, I'm pretty sure all of us, I should hope all of us, have been around a dog or have owned a dog, and they were amazing. I have two rescues. I have a white boxer named Chance, and I have a French bulldog named Cheech, my
Uh,
kid's name,
those are two
Tybalt.
of my favorite breeds. Love
And
both.
they are so funny together. And I love this movie or this documentary. You guys, everyone has to watch it. It's just a plus, and all those zillions of people out there watching this have to watch this movie. So my first question is, as a speech therapist, what first sparked the idea that communication tools you use with humans and children might also work with dogs like Stella?
It was really a series of little epiphanies that happened when I brought my dog Stella home just as a young puppy. She was only 8 or 9 weeks old, and all day at work, I was using devices with kids who were nonverbal, and it was my job to find another way for them to talk because there are so many ways to communicate that aren't verbal speech. And so when Stella was home with me at just 8 or 9 weeks, I saw how much she was communicating with whining, gesturing, pawing at things that she wanted, barking to get my attention. And they were all these milestones that happen with toddlers right before they say words. So I just
Wow.
had this thought, if dogs understand words and they don't develop verbal speech, they just need a different way to say them. And it seemed so obvious to me at the time. And I was shocked that no one had really explored this yet.
Yeah. So when Stella first began using the buttons meaningfully, was there a moment where you thought, okay, something is really happening here, or just training or coincidence?
Yeah, definitely. So the first few words that I tried were just really simple and basic. They were outside, play, and water. She was still really young, so it took about a month before she started using them intentionally. But honestly, going into this, my whole guess of what would be possible was just her using a few different words to tell me basic needs so that she would never have to whine and be misunderstood and that anyone could really care for her and she could say exactly what she wanted. But the moment where it turned into something bigger was when she started using those words in new ways that I had never taught before. So, for example, she started using her water button to point out when I was watering my plants, not when she was thirsty or needed her bowl to be filled up. She
Oh,
started using outside to talk about when my husband would go out and mow the lawn, not just when she needed to go out to the bathroom. So that really kicked in my speech therapy, language development brain of like what was happening and what she could possibly be capable of.
yeah. From your perspective, what's the biggest misunderstanding skeptics have about this work?
I think the biggest misunderstanding is people will say, well, dogs already communicate so much with their gestures and their vocalizations and their body language. And that's actually the biggest reason why this does work because they're already so communicative. It's just one more tool for them to be more specific and to show things that they're thinking about that they wouldn't be able to communicate with gestures alone. Like my dog can tell me if she wants to go to the park or on a walk or out just in the yard to play instead of just whining by the door and guessing which one she wants. So you can get a lot more specific with it and hear a lot more about what they're thinking.
Got it. Well, in the documentary, we see dogs using words and unexpected or creative ways, what kinds of buttons used most strongly suggest actual comprehension rather than mimicry?
Ooh, good question. I think the buttons that show some more abstract concepts that aren't just a simple like cause and effect relationship. So, staying outside and then going to the door to go outside, that's very straightforward and it's not too different from a dog ringing a bell to let their human know that they need to go out. But it gets really exciting when dogs start combining words together to make their own phrases and to share things that haven't been explicitly taught. So, like, my dog can ask questions about, like, where ball or where bed if one of those objects is missing from our space. She can ask where my son is when he's at preschool. She can talk about what's going on in her environment using words in ways that we haven't explicitly taught. So I think more of those abstract concepts and then just putting words together to make new phrases is just really phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I was telling my my kids about it last night. Told them, that they have to watch it when it comes on, and we're talking about the buttons. I said I've never seen that, and they said, "Mom, you live under a rock." And I said, "Well, you know me. I'm here. I do what I do, but I don't do social media or follow any of that stuff." I said, "No, honestly, I didn't know." I said, "So this really opened up eyes, for me." And it's like, okay, I want a button now just for the dogs. I said, it's like, so. Next question is, Stella has become an icon in this space. How has her way of communicating changed your relationship with her on an emotional level?
I truly feel like I understand her so much better. I can't even imagine a world in which she doesn't have buttons to communicate because she uses them several times a day, every single day, to talk about what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what she's noticing. And it has just completely made me so appreciative of how intelligent she is and how much her environment really impacts her. So I think I can care for her so much better when I know exactly what she's thinking about and what she's feeling. And I'm just in awe of her every single day. I truly love her so much.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Were there moments when Stella expressed something like frustration, affection, or curiosity that genuinely surprised you?
Yes, all the time, honestly. I think one of the funniest and most heartbreaking moments at the same time was the first time that she was upset with me that she could actually really express it. She said, "Love you, no," when I wasn't able to do something that she really wanted to do. And it wasn't just a one time thing. She's used that several times over the years when she's like truly upset. And so that was, I mean, obviously it hurts to hear, but I could tell how much whatever she was asking for like really meant to her. The fact that I couldn't do it, she was upset in that moment.
Oh, this gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
So, this documentary follows what's being called the largest animal communication study in history. What excites you most about having scientific data finally catch up to what many pet owners intuitively feel?
I think it's going to be really um, significant for changing how society views pets and just animals in general. For some reason, I think um, it's almost like we look at animals and think they couldn't possibly know this, and then we're constantly proved wrong as more and more research comes out. So I just really hope this helps people look at their pets and animals through a lens of what could be possible, what are they capable of knowing, and help them really treat them accordingly because they deserve so much respect and love and care.
Yeah. What have you personally learned from working alongside researchers that challenge your own assumptions?
I think through all this research, it's just showing how much more there is to learn too. Like what I started with Stella was a single case study that inspired this huge study, which is just phenomenal. But once that door has opened, that Stella and I opened, it's like there are a million more questions that we need to figure out and so much more data to collect and stories to be heard. So I think just seeing the magnitude of what's already happening shows how much more there still is to learn. And it's a really exciting thing to think about.
Yeah. So after watching Can Dogs Talk, what's one thing you hope people will definitely do differently, sorry, with their own dogs?
I think looking at their own dogs through a lens of potential and understanding. I think it's really common to dismiss people or animals who aren't able to communicate in the same ways that we do. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that words should be a prerequisite for how we treat someone. But I think when you know that someone is capable of communicating in this way, putting words together to make phrases and sentences, you automatically treat them with so much more respect and understanding. So I just really hope that people take that lens as they're looking at their dogs and animals in their lives every day.
Cool. If someone is inspired to try communication buttons at home, what is the most important piece of advice you'd give them before they start?
To enter it with a mindset of patience. This is not something that is learned overnight, and change can be really subtle and progress can be really subtle. But when you stick it out and you are really consistent with it, it can be a skill that, gives you and your dog this incredible communication for the rest of their life. So really just approaching it with a long-term mindset and being patient and consistent. Those are the most important things you need as a teacher.
There are all types of dogs, and I've heard there's
Mhm,
dogs like healers that are so away, and labs are smarter than other dogs.
mhm.
You've got your mixed breeds, and like I told you, I have a boxer and I have a
Yeah.
French bulldog. Like, what would be the first one, or would I start off with one button first to work with gradually for months, and then add a second? What advice would you give someone like me?
So I would actually start with like 4 to 6 buttons. And the reason being, right from the start, your dogs learn that each button has a different meaning. So if you spend a really long time just on one button and then you introduce another one, it can be confusing because it's like not all buttons mean the same thing and you have to kind of reteach that. So right from the start, you're showing that every button and every word has a different meaning. And then you're also just providing a lot more exposure for teaching. So instead of modeling one button a day, you're modeling, showing how to use multiple for different concepts, and that helps dogs learn a lot faster.
And where do we purchase those said buttons?
You can get buttons at hungerforwords.com. They're also on Amazon, Chewy, Petco. They're
Wow.
widely available. So, um, yeah, they're ready for you.
See, I am behind the times, so we're going to bring everybody forward with animals that didn't know about this. I
It's
feel
a whole
better
new
now.
industry now.
Yeah, after watching that, I was just totally shocked. I cried, I laughed. I was like, oh, like I said, I got goosebumps and I just had like, come here, dogs, and just had to, talk to them. And then they're like, what, what? So I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so great. Oh, wow. How do you think this research could change the way we think about animal intelligence, not just in dogs, but across all species?
I think there's been, through history, we think about language and communication as something that really humans are just capable of, and then animals are in this whole separate world with it. We've gotten to the point where it's like, sure, animals communicate with each other, but they don't have language. And I think this is going to really challenge those long held assumptions because when dogs are putting words together, creating phrases, talking about complex concepts, it really changes the way we think about what's so different between humans and animals and how we communicate, and that there's probably a lot more there that we just haven't realized.
So can you kind of walk us through how you got to this part of your life, to this being in this movie, this documentary?
Yeah. So when I first started with Stella, I was working as a normal speech therapist and nobody knew what I was doing. Like this was just me in my apartment, in my house. And I gradually added more and more concepts. And we got to the point where Stella was using about 30 different buttons. She
Wow.
was combining words every single day. She was using them with dog sitters, with family members, with friends. And like, I just kept thinking, there's no way no one else, there's no way I can keep this like to myself because it's showing so many things that we didn't know dogs are capable of.
Yeah.
So I started a blog called Hunger for Words, which my last name is Hunger, so that's where that came from, and talked about what Stella was doing. I had videos of her using her buttons and then articles on what she was demonstrating from my perspective as a speech therapist. A writer from People magazine happened to see this and wrote an article on it, and it went crazy viral, like not
Mhm.
social media viral. It was like international media viral. So then I wrote a book called How Stella Learned to Talk. It became a New York Times bestseller. And then thousands of people around the world started teaching their own dogs, and it's grown into this whole movement.
See, folks, like me, you can start. I'm gonna get the
Yep,
book and get the
that's right.
buttons, and I'm gonna be ready and then feel comfortable. Oh, that's such an amazing thing. Um, Final question. If Stella could ask you a question using her buttons, what do you think she'd want to know?
Ooh, like using words she doesn't already
Yeah,
have,
yeah,
or
anything new that's come?
well,
What would
something
she
that she
ask you?
does ask about recently is so I have two children now, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and she asks a lot of questions about them, where they are, what they're doing. And so I think it just shows how much her relationships to all of us, like her pack, really matter to her. And I think she would want to know something that she hasn't asked. Um, hmm, maybe why we move so much. We've lived in so many different homes with her. And I think she misses the consistency of probably like one space, but she's been pretty flexible.
Are we able to get a view of her behind you?
Let's see. I think she's napping in the sun there.
There she is. How old is Stella now?
She'll be 8 next week.
And is she in good health? She eats
Yeah,
well?
she's doing great. She's in excellent health, is still very playful, and she's such a great dog for our kids to grow up with too. It's been really amazing.
So give us some social media handles for you.
Hunger, 4 words, hunger, and then the number 4 in words.
And that's how we can find everything and
Yes,
follow you. So
that's
what's next for you and Stella?
I just came out with a new book called Your Dog Can Talk, a step-by-step
There
guide
you
to dog
go.
training. So we are teaching everyone my whole methodology so that they can do it with their dogs at home too. We love doing workshops and trainings and teaching pet owners how they can have the same type of communication at home.
Great. And we can get that book on your website as well.
Yep, on my website or wherever books are sold.
Great. Congratulations on that. I'm going to get that one too. All
Yeah,
right.
thanks so much. You've got a reading list ahead of you.
I do, and I love to read. I take the train to work, and so that'll give me something to do. And if people, a lot of people will say, "What are you reading now?" I'll be glad to show them this. You got a dog? Know somebody? Here, get this book. So we're gonna
Makes a
help push
great
that
gift
book with you
too.
too.
Yep.
Yes, you have all kinds of birthdays coming up, and do your holiday shopping now.
Yeah, that's
That's what
right.
I like to do. Well, we appreciate the time that you're giving us here at the Hollywood Times. And this is going to go up on our YouTube channel, the Hollywood Times Official. And thank you, Christina and Stella. And this movie, oh, folks, like I said, you have to watch this documentary. There's all kinds of movies and documentaries out there, but this one, I mean, we always wanted to know whether dogs could talk. And you know what? Christina has proven that they can. You just have to be patient with your little one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.